One of the things I've noticed when talking with people from different religious and spiritual backgrounds is that almost everyone seems to believe one of two things. One, either God is completely separate from us, and our purpose is simply to worship Him, obey Him, and serve Him. Or two, the separation between God and man is ultimately an illusion, and the goal is to awaken to our oneness with the divine, return to the source, realize our true nature, or discover that we are somehow a part of God. Obviously, there are countless variations and nuances, but those seem to be the two general directions people tend to move towards. And then, there's Christianity. Christianity affirms something from both sides while ultimately saying something neither side says. On one hand, Christianity insists that God is God and we are not. He is the creator. We are creatures. He is infinite. We are finite. He is worthy of worship. We are not. Christianity never blurs that distinction. The gap between creator and creature is real. But Christianity also refuses to leave us there, because Christianity teaches something astonishing. It teaches that God desires to share His own life with us, not merely to rule over us, not merely to forgive us, not merely to command us, but to unite us to Himself. This is one of the oldest teachings in Christianity, though many Christians today rarely hear about it. The early church called it theosis. One of the most famous expressions of this teaching comes from Saint Athanasius, who wrote, "God became man so that man might become God." At first glance, this sounds almost identical to what you might hear in certain mystical, esoteric, or non-dual traditions. But Athanasius meant something completely different. He was not saying that we become God by nature. He was not saying that we discover we were God all along. He was not saying that individuality disappears. And he was not saying that we dissolve back into some impersonal source or universal consciousness. What he meant was that through Jesus Christ, God shares His own life with us by grace. The distinction is everything. Christianity teaches union with God without identity with God, communion without absorption, participation without becoming the thing in which we participate. The saints do not disappear into God. They become more fully themselves in God. The closer a person comes to God, the more that person becomes who God created them to be. Christianity does not end with the individual being swallowed up into the divine. It ends with love. And love requires two persons, the lover and the beloved, distinct yet perfectly united. That is the Christian vision of eternity. Not absorption, but communion. Not losing yourself, but finding yourself. Not becoming God by nature, but participating in God's life by grace. And this brings us to Jesus. What fascinates me is that almost every religion and spiritual tradition seems to have something positive to say about Jesus. Many admire Him. Many claim Him. Many reinterpret Him. Some call Him the prophet. Others call Him the guru. Others see Him as an enlightened master, mystic, avatar, wanderer, or spiritual teacher. Almost everyone seems to want Jesus on their side. But there's something unique about Christianity. Christianity doesn't start by asking who other people think Jesus was. Christianity starts by asking what Jesus said about Himself. And when you read the Gospels, Jesus makes claims that are unlike those of any other religious figure. He forgives sins. He accepts worship. He speaks with divine authority. He says, "Before Abraham was, I am." He says, "I and the Father are one." He says that whoever has seen Him has seen the Father. Jesus doesn't simply claim to know the way. He claims to be the way. He doesn't merely point towards truth. He claims to be the truth. He doesn't merely reveal life. He claims to be the life. This is why Christianity cannot simply place Jesus alongside other enlightened teachers or spiritual masters. Jesus forces a decision. Either he was mistaken or he was telling the truth, but he does not leave us the option of reducing him to merely another wise man. And if Jesus is who he claimed to be, then Christianity offers something unlike anything else. The infinite God enters his own creation. The Creator becomes man. The Word becomes flesh. And through him, human beings are invited into the very life of God, not as slaves, not as fragments of God awakening to themselves, not as souls dissolving into an impersonal source, but as sons and daughters adopted into the life of the living God. If I had to loosely categorize the world's religions, I would probably place them somewhere between servitude, theosis, and theosophy. Those categories are by no means absolute, and every religion is way more complex than a simple label. But I think they help illustrate something profound. Some traditions emphasize serving God. Others emphasize realizing one's identity with ultimate reality. Christianity stands uniquely in between them. It agrees that God is worthy of worship. It agrees that humanity is destined for union with the divine. But it rejects both eternal separation and divine absorption. Instead, it teaches communion. The Creator remains the Creator. The creature remains the creature. Yet through Jesus Christ, the creature is invited to participate in the life of the Creator. Not separation, not absorption, communion. And everything in Christianity flows from that reality. With that being said, thanks for watching, and God bless.